All right, this is a really cheaply produced SPSS video. All right, this is for my research methods class, STQM 646. And what I want to try and accomplish here today is a basic tutorial on a t-test, how to do it. So t-tests are kind of interesting because they can tell readers or people seeking the information that you're using whether or not there's a significant difference between two groups. And it's really easy to do this in SPSS. And oftentimes people want to know if there's a difference between, say, males and females, gender types, okay? So I've taken this particular data set that I created yesterday because SurveyMonkey will not allow you to export an SPSS file unless you set up special arrangements with them as a student. This particular student had an Excel file, and I used it for this purpose after I recoded it. Now, let's talk about the recoding part here, okay? So, essentially, the way SPSS wants to read your file is your subject is 1 through N, okay? So that, in our case, is 20 to 50 subjects. Now, if you were exporting out of SurveyMonkey, you would see like an IP address there, or a subject number, or some log data that keys that to that subject. Well, when I recoded this, I didn't do that because it wasn't necessary. Fair? Now, over the top, you'll see the different questions. These are essentially, you'll see here, I'm going to use my cursor here. This is Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 that I recoded and relabeled so that we'd have some idea what they were. Now you can just say Q1 through Q20 or Q10 if you want. Okay, all of this is real easy to do in SPSS. And then the next thing you do is you put in your data. So in this case, age was split up into 4 or 5 different subgroups, and you'll see the numbers here. And Excel and SurveyMonkey will tell you exactly how many respondents responded to each variable. Okay, so whether it was 18 to 24, 25 to 30, whatever, it'll tell you, and that's how many of those numbers you put in. So you set your codes up the way you want. Always go 1 through X, right? And that's basically how this field here gets populated. Really quite easy, actually. All right, so doing a t-test is really pretty simple here. I want to show you. So you come here to Analyze. All right, and what we're going to go to is Compare Means, because that's what we're doing. We're comparing means. And we're going to go to, in our case, Independent Samples t-test. So we're looking at a t-test with independent groups or samples, okay? We click on this. It gives us this option or this table here, or box, where we can inform then essentially what we want. So our test variables here, we'll figure that out in a second, but our grouping variables are important to get first. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is slide this up. We know that the second question up there was gender. So we want to put that into our grouping variable. All right, gender. All right, so this is the variable that we're going to split into different groups. Okay, we're going to define these two groups. Group 1 was males, and that was a 1. Okay, group 2 was females. We coded it as a 2. All right. And then we click continue, and you'll see down here, it's coded your groups as a 1 and a 2 that reflects directly to how you coded that particular question. All right, so now it's relational to that. So what particular variable do we want to determine if there's a difference on? Well, in this particular case, or this particular study, this student wanted to try and determine where prospects and candidates coming into the university were gathering their information and research and or participating in their activities of determining what school to go to. So let's just use this one here, Facebook. Okay, let's see if there's a difference between males and females in Facebook. Okay, and in this case they ranked Facebook versus Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, in web pages or on a web page. Okay, so that's kind of the best description I can give you from here, without looking at what I had coded behind those tabs. In those tabs, you can't put a sentence in. You can only put a string of characters, and then that's it. And there's only so many you can put in. All right. So anyway, we're back here. Let's click on Facebook here. Okay. So boom. We put Facebook in. Now that's our test variable here. Okay. All right. So what this means is we're going to see if there's a difference between those that ranked Facebook 1 through 5 as a choice for examining college options. We're going to look at if there was a difference between males and females. All right, fair? Okay, let's explore this options button here real quick, just so you know. Okay, so confidence interval percentage is at 95%. That means our alpha is at 5%. What does that mean? Well, we set alpha at 0.05, meaning that it's significant up to that point. So in other words, if we go over that 0.05 point, then we're not significant. All right, fair? Okay, that's pretty standard for research and science. So we're going to continue. All right, let's click OK and see where this guy goes. All right. So here's our output here on this t-test. And you can see here we're testing Facebook, as we discussed. Okay. And here's our males, here's our females. Interesting, we had 18 males, 4 females here, which can obviously skew our results. But for the sake of the video, let's kind of get through this, all right? So here was the average. So the average for males was 2.27. So the way this was coded was 1 being the highest, 5 being the least. All right, so they're pretty high, but the females' average was 3.2. So what does this mean right off the bat? Well, males were using Facebook more to interact with college research, we'll call it, researching colleges, than females. Okay, so let's go back down here now and see if there was a significant difference. There was not. All right, so there's your F statistic, which I'm not going to go into the stats on that, but we did not pass a level of significance here at 0.197. So what we can say about this is, even though there was a difference here, that we could see, there was not a significant difference, which is quite interesting given the way that our data was a little bit skewed in terms of male versus females. But hey, nonetheless, our 2T statistics that came out were these, okay? And there was not a significant difference. So that's kind of how you do that. Now, how do you explain that? Well, you just write it up that way. I would appreciate in your document you give me that data, and you can see how to do that using my dissertation and some of the other examples I attached. But this gives you a pretty good idea how to do this. And writing it up isn't that difficult. You just tell that story, and if you're professional and clever enough, put it in an APA format, and it'll look really cool. All right? So this is kind of interesting. There was not a difference between males and females in this particular case. There wasn't a significant one, even though that mean was different. It wasn't different enough for science. All right. This was a cheap video. I hope you're not laughing too hard at it, but it gives you an idea how to do it. Take care.